Welcome back to our live show. You may think the 1983 drug kingpin movie Scarface was the stuff of fiction, but it was inspired by the goings-on at a real-life hotel in Miami. And that story is the basis of a new book by Richmond-based journalist and author Robin Farzad, who is here with us today. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to see you.
Good to see you. I was reading the book yesterday, and it's amazing. It really is. I want to kind of go by the cast of characters. The hotel, first of all, you got hitmen, police, drug kingpins, informants, gangsters, celebrities, even a blinged out monkey named Caesar that had better jewelry than I do.
Yes. And let's not forget one of the members there was Rick James, the late funkster. And in his words, cocaine's a hell of a drug. And that's what really drove a lot of what happened here in 1980.
Yeah, you drop a lot of names of celebrities because in the 70s and 80s, Miami became quite a draw for celebrities.
Right, and if you look at the skyline of Miami, it's nothing like what you see today. It was one high-rise maybe, and this one place which was like our Studio 54, where any celeb, I mean Led Zeppelin, Stevie Nicks, Rick James, all the dopers, all the athletes, all the politicians and rock stars would go to party and stay and do wild things.
You grew up in Miami, and you were kind of turned on to this story by someone showing you, or you saw one of the cool membership cards from this hotel club.
Yes, when I found this hotel, which is called the Mutiny at Sailboat Bay, it was abandoned in 1994 before I went to college up north, and a lot of strange things were going on, and it sparked what I can't believe I'm saying it, a quarter-century fascination. You know, I've just been unable to kind of put this down through periods of exhilaration, people cooperating with me, and doubt and putting it down, and then finally the publisher in 2014, by then I was a Richmonder, saying, you need to do this or drop it finally.
And let it go. You do a lot of research. You're a journalist by trade, and the research, 20 plus years that went into this, is amazing. Did you ever find that you hit like a roadblock and you said, maybe I should give up this story?
Many times, and then somebody would end up calling out of the blue and is like, kid, do I have a story for you? The thing is about a lot of these cocaine cowboys, these Cuban exiles, mostly Cuban exiles, who were in Miami, they wanted nothing to do with the movie Scarface when it was there to film in 82 and 83. They saw it as a cultural affront, but then it becomes this pop culture icon. I think it's been re-released more than 24 times, you know, Blu-ray, it's been on Grand Theft Auto and stuff like this. And now a lot of them, they spent 30 years in jail and whatnot, they want to come out and like, you know, Scarface, Tony Montana based on me. And you sit with them and they want to tell you that story, and you know, there I am. I hope I look non-threatening enough that they spill the beans, and it turns out that they did.
As I was reading the story that you tell, you name drop celebrities, you name drop people who were in the drug culture, and a lot of them are still alive these days. And I kind of wondered myself, do you get nervous about that maybe there's some repercussions in telling these stories?
My wife got nervous. My mom got nervous, but there was no way to not tell the story. I mean, a lot of this book was a negotiation of nibbling on people's ears over a decade to get them to kind of tell you this. And if you're not going to tell me, who do you deputize to tell me? And over time, I mean, you can't always get what you want, but you know, if you try sometime, you're a former rock DJ,
right.
So you know that.
You just might find you get what you need.
What I needed. And look, there was lots of doubt, and there were periods, there were dry spells followed by people having me down in Miami, taking me out. One guy insisted on driving me to the Everglades to tell me his story.
Did you get worried about that?
Yeah, my brother did. I tried to give him my GPS coordinates, but I can't believe I did this. It's finally done, and it's kind of like my love letter to my hometown.
And the book gives it a wide audience, but it's going to get a wider audience because this is going to become a limited TV series, I understand.
That's right. A month after the book came out in October, we signed a deal with a production studio to pursue a limited cable series. I mean, in a perfect world, you could do kind of something akin to The Wire for Miami. Let's see how that plays out. My fingers are crossed.
And it's not a very big book, about 300 pages, and I was reading that you say you have a lot more stories that you want to tell.
So many things I had to leave on the cutting room floor. I mean, the exhilaration of writing it, I could have handed you War and Peace, but the pressure is to kind of hand in a kilo-sized book. I am fortunate, though, to have more opportunities. Both, I've had guests on my radio show and podcast. Many of these stories that we left on the cutting room floor are going to end up on TV in kind of more of a 3-4D texture.
In doing the research for this book, what was the most surprising thing that you found out about this whole cocaine cowboys culture?
How much of a joke the war on drugs was. I'm sorry to, come out and say it like that. You had Nancy Reagan and Ronald Reagan and George Bush deputized as the head of the South Florida Drug Task Force when Miami kind of blew up in this murderous rage in 1981. But at the same time, our CIA was actively working with drug dealers and looking the other way while so many kilos of this stuff was brought into the United States. And you could argue that it's kind of a victimless crime. I mean, people who just want to use cocaine or consenting adults. But this led then in the late 80s to the crack epidemic, which just destroyed cities. If you look at Trenton, if you look at Miami, which is still cored out, there were so many victims, so many people who were kind of taken out in the wake of this greed.
Mm-hmm. And what are you hoping people will get out of reading the book and seeing the TV show that's to come?
This very bizarre time in American history where a part of the United States, a major city, becomes a failed state. There are times in the United States like San Francisco during the gold rush or Deadwood, South Dakota, where crazy things happen and laws are upended and people collectively lose their minds. Miami by 1980, the Federal Reserve Branch had a $5 billion cash surplus. Money was literally no object. People at this hotel were pouring it down the drain by filling their bathtubs with Dom Perignon. And you look back at that, and a lot of these guys look back at that like, wow, I lived that?
Well, the book is called Hotel Scarface. Robin, thank you so much, and best of luck with everything in the future.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.